9 big FAFSA changes you need to know about due to the recent FAFSA overhaul. Hi everyone, I'm Tina Steele, the FAFSA Guru, and if you like what I have to say, be sure to subscribe to my channel by clicking the link below. It has been a crazy, overwhelming, and frustrating couple of years when it comes to the FAFSA due to all of the recent changes that have been made along with the FAFSA simplification process that was just implemented. Now that the dust has settled a little bit, I want to go over 9 of the biggest changes with you so that you're prepared as you get ready to fill out the FAFSA. The first biggest change has to do with the number of questions that the FAFSA asks. Normally there was 108 questions before, but they've been whittled down to between 18 and 50 questions depending on your family situation, which is nice because it's made it less tedious to fill out. Change number 2. There are now separate logins for the student and parent when it comes to the FAFSA. Just like before, both the student and one parent need an FSA ID in order to fill it out. But in prior years, you were able to log into the student or parent section and then navigate through the whole FAFSA, both sections, and then sign and submit with your FSA ID. Now you have to log in separately to the student section and separately to the parent section with your FSA IDs. It doesn't matter who logs in first to complete their section. Whoever does it first will automatically send an invite to the other person that needs to fill out the FAFSA. What's really important is that you both sign, and then when the second person goes in to fill out their FAFSA, they have to actually click sign and submit. Rather than streamlining the FAFSA, this has made it a little bit more confusing for people. Change number 3. There's now an automatic import of taxes that happens right when you log in and start filling out the FAFSA versus having to use what used to be called the IRS data retrieval tool, and it was a bit cumbersome. Now when you log into the FAFSA as the student or parent, one of the very first things you will be asked is whether or not you give consent for the government to get access to your taxes. It's important that you hit approve here even if you did not file taxes, and then there will be an automatic import that the government does to get your taxes, or they'll verify that you did not actually file. Change number 4 has to do with what used to be called the EFC, or expected family contribution. It's now called the Student Aid Index, and the reason for this change is because there was a lot of confusion around this EFC number. Students and families assumed that they would have to pay only that amount of money for their college when they received the EFC from filling out the FAFSA form. And in many cases, students have to pay even more than that expected family contribution. So the government changed it to the Student Aid Index, or SAI, so that it makes it very clear that this is just an index number that college financial aid offices use in order to determine financial aid offers. Change number 5, and this is one of my least favorite changes, has to do with the benefit that families used to receive with having more than one child in college at a time. It used to be that when you had more than one child in college, that expected family contribution, or what's now called the SAI, would be divided equally among the number of children you had in college, which meant more financial aid for each of them. That is no longer the case, and families no longer get that benefit for having more than one child in college. Each child now just has the same SAI number. Unfortunately, this is a negative impact on financial aid, but the good news is some colleges are recognizing this as what's referred to as a special circumstance, and you can report this later in the process and let them know that you do have more than one child in college, and then you may be able to get some additional aid for that reason. However, not all colleges are recognizing this. Change number 6 has to do with the protected assets on the FAFSA. There are 2 assets that you now have to report that you never used to in the past. One is the net value of the business you own, and the other is the net value of a family farm that you may live on and do work on. To determine the net value, you simply take what the total value of the business or farm would be if you were to sell it today, minus any debt you owe on the business or the farm to come up with what that net value is. So unfortunately, business and farm value is going to drive the SAI number up, which might mean less financial aid. Change number 7 has to do with untaxed income. You no longer have to report the cash value of any money received from family or friends. You don't have to report veterans benefits or workers' compensation anymore on the FAFSA, which is great news. Additionally, instead of child support being considered untaxed income, it's now considered an asset, which means it doesn't get weighted as heavily in the federal methodology that's performed on the FAFSA in determining that SAI number. So that's a good change. Change number 8 has to do with 529 plans. In the past, as a parent, you used to have to report the total value of all 529 plans owned for all the children in your household on each FAFSA that you would fill out. Now you only have to report the value of the 529 plan for the child whose FAFSA you're filling out. And another piece of good news with that is that these 529 distributions that the student receives are no longer reported as untaxed income. They used to have to report that on the student section as untaxed income on the following year's FAFSA, but the government did away with that, which is great. And lastly, number 9, Pell Grant eligibility has been expanded. There's been some changes to the federal financial aid formula to ensure that more students are receiving Pell Grants, and some Pell Grant recipients are receiving even more Pell Grant than they did before. So that's another positive change. As you can see, there's been some good changes and some not so good changes. It's important that you get your FAFSA filled out early. If you have not yet completed a FAFSA for the 25-26 year, don't delay anymore and get it done. And if you find you need help with this process, you can schedule a consultation with me directly through my website, thefafsaguru.com. I offer a number of individual consultations and can help you with anything financial aid related. And I always offer a free initial 10-minute consult call for anybody that I've never worked with before. And early bird registration is now open for my Financial Aid Academy for high school seniors for the class of 2026 and their parents. So if you are the parent of a rising high school senior watching this, go to my website, thefafsaguru.com, click on Financial Aid Academy, and be sure to sign up now and take advantage of all these savings. I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks so much for watching.